Ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe back with another episode of the Strafing Run, and this is of course designed to keep you up to date on a fairly regular basis, even though there has been quite a gap in between Strafing Run episodes, so therefore, that might not be so true. Although, I am actually thinking about changing the format of this show because most of you have told me that you tend to just launch it and minimize it, kind of listening to it like a podcast, so I figure maybe that's what it should be, something that I just continue to release on YouTube, but perhaps the background would just be a static image or maybe some sort of motion background with some music playing and just mostly focusing on what I'm saying. I figure that way I can just, launch Strafing Run episodes pretty quickly. For example, let's say I just have something I want to rant about real quickly or talk about and discuss or share. I can just record it, pop that typical static image or background up and just render real fast and get it out there for you guys to listen to. So that might be one idea. I'm not really into typical vlogs where people have their face on the camera. I mean, I don't know. It's a thought, but I think what I'm saying is actually a lot more important than, having you guys stare at my face. But anyways, moving right along, let's get to it. Obviously, we're looking at some more Ghost Recon Future Soldier in the background here. This is a match I had played earlier. More conflict mode, of course, because, well, that seems to be the only thing available due to the fact that the community isn't as large as it once was. I'm still trying to decide if I like this game. It is good as a third-person shooter. It's not necessarily the Ghost Recon I wanted, as I said in my past video, but it's still a great title. The problem is, again, it's just Ubisoft made Ghost Recon Online. It competes with its own game. A lot of people left for that. A lot of people were scared off by the fact that when the game launched, the performance was terrible. They've remedied that since then. It's been patched several times over. There's DLC out now. It's a way better game. And I suggest that if you have it, if you own it and it's just not installed, reinstall it. Take a look at it now. Give it a second shot. What do you have to lose? Time? Big deal. Install, download, whatever. Even if you got to do it overnight, take another look at it. Let's see if we can rebuild the PC community out there for those of you that have this game. For those of you that think about getting it, I can't recommend that you buy it just for the adversarial multiplayer. Unless you can get it really cheap. Now, it is already discounted. It's $30 and $34 respectively for the collector's edition, or excuse me, the digital deluxe edition. But 30 bucks is not much for what you're going to get, especially when you realize that there's a great single player and the fact that that is also cooperative. You can play the campaign with 4 players total. So even $30 isn't that much. The game used to be $60 and maybe even $70 for the digital deluxe. So it's a good value now, but Ubisoft titles always go on sale. If you're really tight on money, I would suggest just waiting for a summer sale or a weekend or midweek madness on Steam or some other website, because you don't have to get it on Steam because Steam is just going to make you launch Uplay anyway. So, there is that. To keep in mind that you can basically just get it anywhere and you're gonna have to deal with Uplay regardless, which sucks. I hate Uplay and I hate Ubisoft for creating it just as much as I hate EA for creating Origin and all the others that will probably follow after that. But so yeah, there's that. That's my opinion on that. I'll probably repeat myself over and over again. I think what my friends have even said to me at some point is like, you know what? One friend specifically has said to me, you know what? Let me know how the game is after a week. Because in the past, it's always been like, oh, check out this game. I just got it. It's amazing. Let's get it. And we all get it. And a week goes by and it's like, okay, it wasn't that great. We found all these flaws within it. And same thing with this. I'm going to play it for a week, see how it goes, and then report back and say, okay, well, I'm still enjoying it. It's still good. Maybe throw down some coin and grab it. But I'm the kind of guy that says, look, $30, okay, it costs more to fill up my gas tank, and if I can get 8 hours, 10, 20, if I could get a day's worth of gameplay out of, a video game, then in some cases, fine, whatever, it's paid for itself. Because, I mean, let's face it, you pay $12 or so to go to a movie. You know, you spend $10 on, you know, a burger and fries. If you go to Five Guys, of course. There's that Five Guys again. But I swear they're not sponsoring me. But they can if they want. But, so yeah, I mean, if you think about all the things you spend money on, I mean, to me, to get 24 hours out of a game is not that bad of an investment. So there's that. Anyway, I'll again, if I continue to enjoy this, I'll hopefully post more videos in regards to it, and we'll see where it goes, because there's so much good here. I want it to be good, but I don't know. If Ghost Recon Online didn't exist, maybe the community would still be there, but I think that that's part of the big issue. So anyway, spent a lot of time talking about this one game. Let's kind of move on to a few other things. Games that I'm covering 100% that I'm still not necessarily tired of. World of Tanks is something that I just really, as most of you know, love to death. I think I'm actually really good at it. I think that I'm confident enough to say that. And you know that me, I'm usually pretty humble about my skills in games. World of Tanks is just a fun game. I like armored combat, and it's maybe not as realistic as I would like it to be, but it's still fun, and I enjoy talking about it and sharing my tactics. So I continue to focus on that. We'll probably be looking at patch 8.4 eventually, maybe. I don't know. There's not that much in 8.4 that I'm excited about. I really could care less about the British tank destroyers. They look terrible. A lot of the British tanks just look like garbage, unless you're in the final mid-range mediums and heavies. So I don't know. Their designers were terrible up until their late lineups, but they have sure improved. You know, now creating some of the best. But that guy should totally be dead, by the way, down there. It looks like he took bullets to the face. I don't know what was up with that. That was a bunch of garbage, if you ask me. But anyways, back to World of Tanks. Yeah, there's that. We'll see how it goes. As far as World of Warplanes, it's still in beta, and it still has a non-disclosure agreement tied to it, so which means I cannot make videos of it or talk about it or anything, which is kind of silly because War Thunder's out. The one thing I can say, I think safely, is that War Thunder, in my opinion, is a far better game in terms of planes. A lot of you guys want to compare War Thunder to World of Tanks. Why? Like, don't do that, because it's planes and it's tanks. They're two different things. There's no comparison there. So you either like planes more than you like tanks, and that's the only thing you can go by. Now, in the future, War Thunder is supposed to have tanks and ships. So we'll see. If their tank gameplay is amazing, then, well, you never know. We'll switch over to that and check it out. But they're going to have to completely redesign and create custom levels to use the tanks, because no, I don't think it's going to be tanks versus planes and ships, because if you think about the maps look good for air combat, but if you go to the ground level, they're terrible for the tanks. It looks, you know, the terrain is just not detailed, so you have to almost just have a separate theater of war for armored combat. You know, the ships, that's a different story, but for tanks, you're going to have new maps and everything. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that, but I'll definitely keep an eye on it and, of course, keep you posted. But right now, War Thunder versus World of Warplanes, I'm totally going to vote for War Thunder at this point in time. It's just a better title, and Wargaming needs to watch out. They need to not be cocky and think that they own everything, because right now they're monopolizing the vehicular combat market. But, yeah, War Thunder's in the mix now. Wargaming, watch it. They obviously just had purchased Gas-Powered Games, Chris Taylor's studio, which really hasn't been doing all that much that I care about. I know they, you know, pulled out the Dungeon Siege games back in the day, and they were pretty good and things like that. But lately, nothing that I've been really excited about, so I don't know what they're planning to do with that. I don't know why they felt that they needed them. Obviously, I don't know what they're going to do. It should be interesting to see. Maybe they've got something else up their sleeves in regards to a completely different title. I don't know. But Wargaming has a lot of money. You guys do have to remember that in Russia, World of Tanks is bigger than World of Warcraft. I mean, that's how large it is. I mean, that's their big game. I mean, let's face it. In terms of MMO of the year, it beat League of Legends because the Russian powerhouse, you know, how popular the game is over there. It's just ridiculous. So that's that. So keep that in mind. But Moving right along, games that I'm probably not going to touch anymore. Unfortunately, I know some of you will be sad to hear this, but PlanetSide 2, just not doing it for me as a game I want to cover with video. It's just kind of difficult. You need to be with a unit. You need to be on comms. Otherwise, I just don't have the time for that, and I don't think you'll see too much more of that from me. I apologize if, you know, that's what you came for, but I'm pretty sure you understand that it's just not easy to cover it because I like to do things live. I don't like really doing post commentary that much, and it's just my style. I like putting that pressure on me. I think a lot of people do things post because they can't really handle, you know, playing and talking at the same time. And sometimes I mess up, but, you know, I just think that there's an interesting dynamic that happens when I'm under fire and just really having to talk and tell you what I'm doing at the same time. And just, I love it. That's just the way I roll. And I think it's, I think with PlanetSide 2, it's just not the game to do that in because you need to be communicating with your team a lot more. So there's that. Hawken, I liked it at first, but it just got pretty stale. It's small levels, lack of customization. The mechs aesthetics were just kind of fail. There's just not much to do over time. The multiplayer with friends is actually terrible, but they don't even have like a squad system yet in place. There's no server browser. There's a lot of rubbish surrounding that game, and I know they still consider it beta, but anytime you have a game that's allowing you to pay for things, that's called a soft launch. I mean, the game is launched. They just label it as beta to cover their butts a bit more, and really, it's a good game. It's unique, but I don't know. It's gonna maybe need 6 more months to a year to really add more to it. MechWarrior Online is another game that I'd like to look at again, maybe in another 6 months to a year, to really see if they can flesh it out, because it feels like anything that uses the Crysis engine just ends up being... Excuse me. I want to say that any game that I usually get into, or mod, that seems to take advantage of the Crytek engine, that's not Crysis, seems to be kind of glitchy and or buggy and just have some other performance issues. It's almost like the only people that know how to develop for that engine are the guys who created it. So it's tough. We'll have to see how those games, you know, roll out. There's a couple other Crytek-based games coming out, and or Cry Engine, whatever it's even called. So I know people want me to take a look at Warface. That's another one, but nah, I don't know yet. We'll see, because it's obviously kind of a Battlefield game and a different engine. So we'll see how it goes. So those are 2 for sure that I'm not going to cover as much anymore. At least, you know, if you're here just for that, then, you know, my apologies, but that's that. The one question I want to get to now about DayZ. No, I don't plan on getting back to the mod anytime soon. I will take a look at DayZ standalone. I don't know anything about it yet. I haven't been informed of when I'll be able to take a look at it, but hopefully I will get some sort of opportunity. That would be nice. And then I will let you know. I'll critique it. I will be extremely unbiased about it and give you my honest feedback and let you know if it's going to be worth the money. I hope that Rocket and his team take the time to polish it up and make it the best dang survival horror game they possibly can. I don't even care if it comes out next year. I want it to be the best. So I hope they take their time. You know, I think they're a bunch of good guys over there, and I wish them the best with it. I want it to be great, especially because War Z is a steaming pile of you-know-what, and it just needs to get smacked down, and it already has been, but it just deserves a bit more. So hopefully DayZ is just going to come back and say, oh, you tried to do what? With huh? Who? Yeah? No? Not happening. Okay. Anyways, so there's that. I will take a look at standalone. For those of you that are listening to this, please pass that around to the viewers that post in the comments that ask the question, because a lot of people don't watch the Strafing Run and they are uninformed and they don't you know, link up with Facebook or Twitter, so they don't know what's going on and they never listen to what I'm saying half the time. And so for those of you that can say, look, he's gonna, you know, because I can't get to everybody and I keep getting the same question over and over again. So yeah, there's that. just in general, also in regards to mods and games and things like that, I will look at suggestions for things I don't know about, but I do not do requests. If you say, hey, play this, no, I will only play it if I tend to like it or if I plan. I have a plan. I have things that I have on my list, things that I want to take a look at, things that I want to play, so keep that in mind. Also, in regards to World of Tanks, if I don't take requests to play tanks, I don't get tanks for free. I have to spend time to grind and pay real money to pay for premium time or garage slots and things like that. And I don't have a special account where Wargaming gives me tanks. You know, the only time that I could try any tank at all would be is if I go into the test server, which, as you know, the test server is not up 24/7. It's only up when they're testing certain patches. And there's that. So again, please don't try to, you know, beg me to take a look at a tier 3 or 4 tank just because you want to know if it's good. I just don't have time for that. Most of the videos and gaming I do is just for fun. I'm here to have fun and share my gaming with you, and hopefully you enjoy it. If you don't, well, obviously you have the option of not watching it. So, beyond that, again, kind of keeping in line with what we were talking about with War Thunder and whatnot, I will keep an eye on that game, but again, I like tanks more than I like planes, so don't expect me to be releasing War Thunder content as regularly as I do with tanks. And then I guess kind of going back to talking about shooters with Ghost Recon and whatnot, we had discussed Medal of Honor, Warfighter a little bit, and some of you had said, hey, you know, what happened to that game? You and Elbrook were playing it. That was pretty cool. Yeah, it was, but the thing that turned me off was that I knew that the game was dying, that I don't know why EA released it. I guess it was some sort of tactic to combat Call of Duty. I guess they thought, well, let's fight them with Battlefield DLC and a separate game. Maybe we can beat out Black Ops 2. Obviously, that didn't really work out. Medal of Honor Warfighter seems to be dead. I'm not sure. I'm going to actually probably take a look at it in the next day or two and jump back in and see if anything's going on. I know it has its complaints and its issues, but I know there was also, like, what, maybe 2 new maps that were released. So I might try to take a look at those and see if there's anything going on there, because generally, I mean, it wasn't... Oh, I've played worse games. I really have. You know, there were some complaints about the graphics and things like that, but again, yes, I have played much worse games, and what isn't a port these days? You know, there are very few shooters that are released first on PC, and you know, there's a couple, but most of them are geared towards console, and then they just come back, and that's it. So I'll take a look at that game to see if it's worth anything. Again, I'm the kind of guy that just goes through games like it's nothing, so I'm always curious to see what happens. I wanted that game to be good, I really did, and I thought that it had some unique aspects to it. I really loved that it was a multinational game as well, that you could play as Canadians, Americans, you know, I don't know, Japanese, whatever. They had, you know, it was multinational, British, whatever. There's so many nations, special forces units that they had in the game, and I thought that that was truly unique and original, because there's always complaints about, like, oh, it's always, you know, like the other day in the comments for Ghost Recon, it's, well, why is it always Americans versus Russians? And then somebody had said, oh, it's because all the Americans make all the games, and I actually corrected them, and I said, actually, you're incorrect. I mean, if you look at Battlefield, it's made by DICE in Sweden, and this Ghost Recon is actually developed by Ubisoft Montreal, and they're French-Canadian. So it's not because it's an American developer. Half the time it's not. It's just, it sells. You know, the U.S. Special Forces have just made a name for themselves, and in terms of a marketing decision, that's just where the general population, you know, goes. I mean, the Ghost Recon franchise starts from... You know, goes back to when Red Storm was a U.S.-based company, so you know that's why they've kept it American. But you know, you can thank Tom Clancy himself for that, really. So, but yeah, there's a lot of games that feature U.S. forces that are not, you know, developed by American companies. It's just that's just the way it is. And then again, when there was one, Medal of Honor finally adds multinational forces, nobody likes the game. It's like, well, that's your fault then, because it's actually not that bad of a game. I don't know what people wanted it to be, but You know, the only complaint that I would really have is that why would you release that game and then also have Battlefield DLC? Like, EA, what are you doing competing against yourself again? And I don't, what is with companies competing against their own products? Ubisoft releases Ghost Recon Online that almost competes with this game's multiplayer adversarial. And then they release Medal of Honor, which competes with Battlefield Close Quarters in a way. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'll never understand the developer mind. I guess because I'm not a marketing guy that thinks, you know, I know how to make money, which apparently they need to actually hire people that play video games and not somebody in a suit and tie that thinks they know what they're talking about. So there's that. I think that about covers most everything I wanted to discuss for now. Again, please link up with Facebook. Links will be in the description below, as well as Twitter to stay up to date on anything I don't post via YouTube. And we'll go from there. Also, just try to watch these and you'll be informed. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you on the next one.